Welcome back to another amazing episode, fabulous episode of the DPT to CEO podcast. The past couple of weeks, we've been having a lot of guests on. So, if you haven't checked those out, those are live. They should be up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course the YouTube channel. But tonight we are here with a brand new special guest to talk about a really unique business that our special guest has. So I'm super excited to get into it. Sean, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess we'll jump right in and hear from Sean here in a second. But before I forget, if you are listening or watching and if you want any help with starting your own practice so that you never have to work in the clinic again, please feel free to reach out at morganmeese.com. Just a little self-plug before we dive into it. So Sean, tell us a little bit more about who you are, your background, and what you're doing now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sean Vo. I got my doctorate of physical therapy in 2021, University of St. Augustine in Austin, Texas. I did travel therapy just right out of graduation for a little bit, and then got a full-time job working in outpatient ortho, and then earlier this year, I started my own business working with combat sport athletes and martial artists, specifically who have knee pain. And I do a hybrid of online treatments and in-person treatments.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And so concise, Sean. That's awesome. That was a great pitch. I love that. And Sean has come such a long way. We started working together last year, and he is a graduate of our DPT to CEO program. Last year when we started, we started from scratch. Do you remember how you were feeling this time last year?
It was exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time, because starting from scratch, you just basically start trying to build a house with a blueprint that's written on a piece of paper. Which is what it felt like. So it was really cool at the same time to be introduced to the program and have a set curriculum and to be able to go through steps on how to get to certain things that we wanted to do. So it was really cool, and it's kind of cool to see kind of where I am now compared to where I started.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know one thing that you had mentioned about something that you just want to share with the audience or with people who are maybe where you were, but they're there now. To share with people, I guess, who are interested in kind of starting their own thing, you mentioned the quote, "You don't have to be great to start, but you got to start to be great." Can you tell us a little bit more about that quote and what it means to you?
I don't think you're ever going to be truly ready to start. And that's what I've heard from so many people, even including you. Yeah, everyone always says that you're never going to be truly ready to start. So the best time to start was yesterday. And I really do believe that you just don't really need to be everything that you think you want to be in order to start, because you're probably looking at so many other people who are at the top of their mountain, or who have already been doing this for a couple of years, and you're like, I'm never going to get to where they are. But that's just a lot of self-doubt and a lot of self-limiting beliefs. So just even creating the name, creating an idea, making the vision, that, those are already steps that gets you to where you want to be. So I think that's just already in that starting position. So you just got to start, and you just got to take that leap of faith and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been my motto this whole time, for better or for worse. And so I guess, I obviously totally agree with you. You have to start somewhere, but kind of looking back again to where you were last year, what do you feel was the final thing, whether it was a thought or a feeling or an experience? What was the thing that was the catalyst for you in making the decision to get started?
It was, I would say, just the idea that I've always wanted to be my own boss. And it's the idea of having more control over what you want to do, more flexibility, better work-life balance. So it was just kind of everything that I saw other people doing. So being able to, set your own hours, work with less patients, but more on a one-on-one basis with them, being able to treat the way that you want to treat. So it was kind of everything on the other side that everybody kind of hypes up. And that was kind of the catalyst for me, because I just wanted to finally sink my sink my teeth into the area and to be able to just start my own business and just start doing things the way that I wanted to.
Yeah. So it sounds like you just finally got tired of it, like the same
Yeah.
old, same old.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, and I know that like I definitely like felt the same way, and I know that there are a lot of other people out there who I'm sure
Hmm.
that resonates with. And so like you were getting started, and I remember as we were getting started, we were trying to figure out for you like what was going to be like the best setup, like as a
Hmm.
practice, who you wanted to work with, how you wanted to work with them. Can you take us back through like some of the ideas that you had and some of the things that you tried and kind
Hmm.
of what it transitioned into now?
Starting out, I had definitely a few different interests. I think the first one that I had was bodybuilders and powerlifters, and that transitioned into people more in like the rave community, the music community, and then which is where we finally landed on like combat sport and martial arts. So as you can see, kind of my interest kind of like went from, all over the place.
Yeah.
And it was good because again, it made me think of people in each area too, and it landed me on what body part I like to treat the most too, so which landed me with combat sports, martial artists, and then with knee pain specifically. Like I really do enjoy working with athletes with specifically knee pain. I mean, I could treat lower back, shoulders, and stuff like that too, but it's really where I'm passionate about, like all knee injuries, specifically on how the joint lines up with the entire body and how it controls with like power, movement, acceleration, and things like that. So that's where I kind of found my passion. And so I know we went from all over the place in the first like couple
Yeah.
months working together. We were just going from like idea to idea. And I was like, I don't even know if I'm ever going to land on one, if one's going to stick. And I know that you advised me to just kind of, pick one and just see where it goes. And eventually you'll get good at it too. And I think that the more passionate you are about treating a certain niche, a certain population, the better you're going to be. And then the more that's just going to drive you.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you, and couldn't have said it better myself. Like I think there's a lot of different ways to approach a business, right? And different like motivations and goals and everything. But like something that's always like really aligned with me personally is just like fueling my business with a passion behind it. Like if I'm not genuinely interested in what I'm doing, forget it. And, I think that was probably something that you experienced too. Like we were kind of like, it was almost like we're like trying on like different clothes, and like
Mm-hmm.
seeing, like what fit. And, maybe all the clothes like fit, but there was like only one outfit that made you like really feel good. And that being, like the combat sport athletes. And I think, your journey is like a really good example of kind of like going back to the drawing board several times and really trying to figure out what's going to be the best, I guess, niche audience, and just even the best setup, which we'll talk about in a second, and just like the structure of the way that you're doing your business. We just kept going back until we found the right fit. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that is something that is really important to put out there and to share with people. So it's okay. It's okay to try things and then it doesn't work and then you try again. With that, I guess, like getting into the structure of your business, tell us a little bit more about like those different ideas that you've tried and how does your business work now?
At first, I wanted to do completely in-person mobile and, go to door to door. So that was kind of like the idea that I, played around with. And at first, it seemed really well. Like, kind of just shifting around ideas. I was able to kind of get myself out there, go to a different couple of gyms and advertise myself, and then made it into a couple of organizations where I was able to set up a booth in like some of the fights and just talk to some of the athletes, some of the fighters as they were like finishing up their fights or even like going out towards their fights and just like, kind of explaining to them my services. And then it transitioned into doing more online services because I had a few people reach out to me who weren't in the state that I live in, but wanted to still work with me and to be able to go through certain treatments, certain exercises, and be able to come up with a good game plan for what they were dealing with. So that kind of grew into the hybrid approach that I take now, which is a
Mhm.
little bit of online and then a little bit of in person. So the majority of my clients that I have right now are online, and they don't live in the same state that I live in too. So which is really nice because that gives them access to work with me, and
Hmm.
then that still gives me the ability to be able to create a game plan for them, and we come up with specifically certain exercises that will really help them exceed in whatever martial arts that they're in currently. And then I do have some patients who are interested in working with me in person, and they live around the area that I live in. So we're working on kind of like a game plan on how we want to approach that as well.
That's cool. That's awesome. And I know there are a lot of like inquiring minds out there with the online stuff. I think it's something that's like super intriguing to a lot of therapists and clinicians. How have you kind of like navigated the, I guess, like concept of being a physical therapist in Texas, but working with people all over the place online?
To me, I usually approach that as more wellness services too, because my company does offer physical therapy and wellness. It's in the name. But so I approach that as more wellness. So the people that are coming to me, especially looking for online, I make sure that number one, like if they do need physical therapy, especially like more hands-on services, that I help them find the resources around where they
Hmm.
live. But if it's something as in they need like a structured program of certain exercises to number one, improve certain areas that they're looking for. So whether it's like speed, acceleration, strength, especially if they're in a martial arts that requires kind of all of the above. So
Hmm.
we work on designing a good program for them that they're able to
Hmm.
follow along week by week. And then we meet once a week. They give me feedback, and I coach them through specifically what is going on and things that we can work on, things that we can change. And so I kind of classify that as more of a wellness approach. They're at the point where they don't really need hands-on. They're able to be very self-efficient and be able to coach themselves, and then I kind of just guide and mentor them along the way.
Sure, that makes sense. And so that's like where your kind of like flagship program, so to speak, like comes
Mm-hmm.
into play. What's the name of it again?
Mile Vitality Health and Wellness.
And then like what's your program's name?
Oh, so my program's name is the Pain-Free Knee Accelerator. So that's
Ooh.
the yeah. It took a little bit of time coming up with a name for it too, but it's kind of I played around with a couple names, and that was the name that I landed on.
That's awesome. And the way that it works, if I recall, is it still a 3 month program?
It is 3 months.
3 months, and
Hmm.
like you said, you meet with them once a week, and
Hmm.
it sounds like you kind of have like a structure and a plan, and then you plug your clients into it, and then kind of like individualize it from there.
Right, exactly. So what I ended up doing is I kind of took a curriculum that I made beforehand that I really, really kind of used all of my brain power, all the education, all the schooling that I
Uh-huh.
had, but created a curriculum that I really think would, as a base, would help any athlete if they were to come to me, right? And then I
Hmm.
take that curriculum and just tweak it to the athletes depending on, again, their sport, what they need, and what exactly we're working on. So then it saves me time
Sure.
specifically, so that if I have a bunch of people coming to me, I don't have to like take time and really just start making everything from scratch. It's kind of like
Hmm.
being a chef. Like you have your ingredients, you have a base too, but then being in like a very fast restaurant, if somebody wants you to make something, you're able to just grab the base and then just
Hmm.
make whatever you need to make from that.
Yeah, and I'm sure that that really helps a lot with like any feelings of like analysis paralysis when you
Hmm.
know have a bunch of people coming to you. I have definitely found that it can really make like sales a lot easier in the way that when people come to you and ask for help, and say they do have knee pain, you kind of already have like that base structure there. And so, like, your only job is to figure out whether that person is a good fit for your program or not, rather than having to like be like hemming and hawing back and forth about whether, like you're the right person to help them. Do you find that that's the case for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the idea for me, and it just works for me, working with one target market too, specifically with that problem with knee pain too, it really does kind of streamline how I work. It streamlined my workflow and the ability for me to just get really good at helping these types of athletes.
Absolutely. Really I like that you brought that up because I really like that as well. Like just in my own practice with kind of like my niche is like CrossFit athletes, and then even like sub niche is kind of like pelvic floor stuff for CrossFit athletes. You know, and now when I'm taking Con Ed courses, I'm looking for courses in those things specifically rather than like everything, because like our brains can only hold so much, you know, like at one
Hmm.
time.
Yep.
And if you just, you know, like really work on like honing in on your craft as something specific, you can become so good at it that, you know, like you're the knee guy for combat sport athletes. And then that also makes it easier to sell things because you become the expert and the specialist. So
Hmm.
that's super cool. And I guess here's an opportunity to, you know, share your experience with people who are maybe a year behind you, Sean. If somebody is thinking about starting their own practice, but their worry is, you know, I want to help everybody, but what if people come to me and they're not my niche? What do I do? What would you say?
So if people come to you and they're not your niche, like obviously, you know, you can't just say, you know, okay, well, no, I can't help you, you know, turn away, right? Like you
Yeah.
should treat everybody like a human being. But ideally, you know, if somebody comes to you and you really do believe that you are the right person to help them, then obviously sell your services, sell yourself too. But if it's somebody comes to you and you believe that there is somebody better out there that you can help them find a better resource, and number one, if you're just not passionate about working with that group, like don't be mad at yourself. Don't be flustered, right? Because I think what PT school taught us is that we have to help everybody. Like there, you know, if somebody walks in through the door, especially like if you're working in an outpatient clinic, like you have to help them. But the reality of it is that there's so many PTs, there's so many clinicians out there, and everybody is good at something. Everybody is good at treating a different population. So don't be down on yourself. Don't be mad at yourself if you really feel like I just can't help you. And I'm not passionate about helping this field of area, but I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that whether we work together or not, I will help you find the resources. I will help you find the help that you need.
Yeah, absolutely. So like even like in that way, like you're still helping them. So like if somebody considering, you know, like what I think that I'm like, you know, pretty decent at right now, like if somebody came to me and it was a, for example, pediatric case or spinal cord injury case, I technically can help because we have the schooling on it, but I, in no way, shape, or form, am the expert to help in either of those areas. And this is what I usually do too. Is like I will tell the prospect I'm not the expert. You know, I can always share with you some things that I think might help right now. But you know, why don't we work together to find the right expert for you? That I think is a much better service to the patient rather than you trying to take on the case and trying to do, I mean, you're going to do your best, but if there's somebody else out there who is better, it's going to serve the patient better too.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
agree. I am the same way with vertigo. Like that's just not my thing. Like I can do it, but it's like watching the first round of chefs in like Master Chef. Like, you know, when they go through those like auditions and stuff like that. Like it ain't
Yeah.
pretty. And they're like trying to do everything just to like make the dish and stuff. And that's the way that I am. Like I can do it, but I will let them know that it's not going to be pretty. Like again, there are better people, more qualified people out there that are probably better to help them in that area.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh man, Sean, that brings back so many memories. If
Yeah.
I had to try to help somebody with vertigo right now, I would have to pull out all of my neuro notes, you know,
Hmm.
from way back in whatever, like 2017, and then like while we're doing whatever that maneuver is called, I'm gonna have my like instruction manual open on the
Yeah.
side. Oh man, you know, which is not necessarily bad. Like if you're the only person, you know, like in 50 square miles who can help, like it's better than
Yeah.
nothing. It's kind of up to you as to whether like you actually do take the case because you don't have to. That is a good example, Sean. Oh man, we all definitely have our strengths and then things that we're just not as strong in. We've come a long way in the past, you know, past year. What would you say has been like your biggest challenge in the past year with growing your business?
It's kind of wearing all the hats. I think one thing, again, a lot of people don't realize when they go into a business is that you have to wear so many hats. Like obviously the treating hat, right? You have to wear the social media hat, the marketing hat, the advertising hat. The biggest challenge for me was learning everything behind advertising. So like Facebook ads and learning how to really navigate around that area and marketing, getting my name out there. So that was the biggest kind of like oh my gosh moment, because I just again is a big realization that you have to do a little bit of everything just until obviously the business picks up, and if you have the income, you have the money to hire somebody else, which is awesome. But for most people, they're probably doing everything on their own to start off with.
Yeah, I think that's something that's really important to bring up. And it's something that I've been talking to a lot of other people about recently. I see Brittany just commented, I straight up pull up YouTube of the Hall Pike dick during this session. I 100% would as well, Brittany. Just to like hold the patient and be like, okay, hold on, let me like watch this really quick. Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, no, there's a lot going on. Like I think, of course, like starting growing a business, it is a learning process the entire time, and you will like never feel like the expert. Like there's always more to learn because there's so many different domains, almost like PT, in a way. And I feel like when you first get started, the concentration is on like, I just need patients, and treating, like you said. But like along that path, you realize that like, oh yeah, like I actually have to learn how to attract patients and do marketing. And now that I have people to talk to, I have to learn how to get them to pay me money, and then once you have the money, then it's like, how do I manage the money and what do I do with it? So it's like, it's all these things all at once. And it's a lot on one person. It's a lot on one person if you are also, working full-time, part-time as well, or you just have other responsibilities in your life. It's a lot to do at once. What, like steps or things have you done, if anything, to like, I guess, help yourself with that overwhelm and wearing all the hats?
So number one thing is YouTube. Right. I feel like with YouTube, you can learn just about anything. YouTube and Google, you can learn just about anything. And then books, podcasts, like so many resources. So like kind of going off of what you said, like learning how to manage the money. There's a really good book that I read called Profit First.
Oh,
and yeah. And I feel like if you ask anybody in the entrepreneur world, business world, like that book comes up probably 9 times out of 10. Right. And it's just like teaching you how to pay yourself first before all the money goes, back to the business and you allocate it. YouTube, like I literally YouTube like 90% of everything. Like if I have, a question on anything, if you type it in YouTube, there are other people who probably did the same thing. So there's YouTubers that literally make videos of just about anything. And I think some people kind of forget to use that as a resource. And I've even talked to some of my other entrepreneur friends, like sometimes they're like, yeah, I think it's kind of an ego thing. Like if I don't know how to do it, like, does typing it into Google or YouTube kind of make me like stupid? Like it doesn't, right? Just because again, you can learn anything just from just typing it in and watching like a 5-minute video, and that was 5 minutes that were really, really good, and I knew something that I didn't know.
And I think like it also teaches you a skill, get past the ego thing, because don't even worry about that. When you like start Googling and YouTubing things, it helps to teach you or like enhance your skill of problem solving, which you need in so many other aspects of your business. So if you learn to like be a little bit more resourceful for yourself, it's only going to help develop things further down the road. So I think that is a really good point to bring up. And of course, like when you are YouTubing things, reading things, it is going to take time, so as long as you're okay with that, then that's okay. And there's even if you're like, oh, I don't even know like where to start, now that we have Chat GPT, you could always go in the chat and be like, here's what I'm kind of struggling with. Like what should I look up? So there's more resources out there to help you.
My number one piece of advice though, especially if you're going to go through like YouTube and stuff like that, is when you land on a couple videos, because there's so many videos and sometimes it can get overwhelming. When you land on a video from a YouTuber that you like, I would stick with maybe like 1 to 3 YouTubers and just go through their channels and see if they have the information that you're looking for because when you kind of go through YouTube and you go through like all these videos from like all these different people, you can get some conflicting information,
Oh
which
yeah.
can overwhelm you. And then you're all of a sudden at a point where you're like, I don't even want to do this anymore. But sometimes if you land on, people that you like and you agree with what they're saying, and then you kind of follow some of their other videos, it'll actually take you farther, and you'll kind of be in a more streamlined process than dealing with just like 10 people that tell you kind of like all sorts of different things.
No, Sean, that's really good advice. That's a really good point. Yeah, because like especially it's Facebook ads. I mean, there's like a million and one people who talk about Facebook ads. But like you said, if you find somebody that you connect with, you like their vibe, and also importantly, they seem like they know what they're doing and make money doing it, they probably know what they're talking about, and you can give it a shot. I love that idea of just like sticking with like that one channel, at least for a little while. And there is, I think there's a search bar like inside channels too, where you can search a specific channel, so you don't have to go back to like the main YouTube search bar every time.
Exactly. Or you just type in, you type in whatever you're looking for, and then you just type in the person's name next to it, and chances are there's a video that comes up. So it just makes everything way less stressful. And, like, for example, like I'm a big Alex Hormozy fan, right? Like I think a lot of people do know who he is. So I'll see if like he has, an idea of kind of like what I'm thinking, and see if he has a video of it. If not, then I'll move on to the second person that I really do enjoy. And then so on. And then, it just becomes a way less stressful process.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everybody listening, Alex Hormozy is a great resource. Like he has so many, like there's like courses and stuff, which a lot of his courses are free, I believe. But he has some really good books. But his YouTube channel, something that I really like about his content is it is like extremely straightforward and actionable. There's like hardly any ever like fluff at all like with Alex's videos. So he's a great resource, and his wife Layla, I believe too, she has a really good channel as well. But that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sean. I'm sure that is going to be really helpful for a lot of people to hear. And another question that I have, what would you say is your number one favorite and least favorite thing about being a business owner?
Number one favorite is the flexibility of just being able to kind of work whenever I want to. Obviously, the more that you put in, probably more that you're probably going to get out. Yes. But sometimes, if vacation comes around or if friends want to hang out, I don't necessarily have to stress on it, because it's just my business. It's how much I want to put in, and being able to have that flexibility and that work-life balance is so refreshing. The least favorite probably goes back to what we were talking about, is like wearing so many hats at once. Because again, I do wish that like if I had more help, it'd be so much easier and be so much more efficient. But obviously, you want your business to be in a good place before you can hire more people on. Unless you have that supplementary income, then by means go for it. Like that would really, really help out. But again, it's just sometimes it does get a little kind of stressful trying to do everything, and sometimes you forget to do something because you were so focused on something else, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I totally forgot to do it. But then again, the nice thing is that you are the boss, right? You don't have a boss saying, oh, you missed the deadline, right? Like, you're going to get reprimanded for that. Like, you are the boss. Like, obviously, if it's a little late, it's fine. You can just kind of regroup and pick it up back later and just still continue to do your thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how we, like spun the least favorite thing into still positive too.
Yeah.
I know. And like, I always think as much of like an emotional roller coaster as it can be, and like how it can be stressful sometimes, I think all of the pros greatly outweigh the cons, and it's so worth it, at least even like trying it, to see, because you're going to learn a lot about yourself along the way as well. So we've crossed over your like first year, I believe, right? So your business is a year old.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's super exciting. What goals do you have for the next year, and like where do you kind of see yourself going in 2024, 2025?
So for next year, I'm hoping to triple the number of clients I had this year too. So again, I did this kind of method, and I know I talked to you about this, but I did this method, and I actually learned it from Alex Hormozy, where to get clients, you have to just kind of, do your best at advertising and marketing and getting them in. But for the first 5 clients, I actually took them on for free. And I told them that I would take them on if in 3 terms. I would take them on if they would follow the program and let me coach them. They would give me feedback, and then they would leave me a killer testimonial if they thought I deserved one. And then what Alex Hormozi says is that you do that for every 5 patients. So you're every 5 clients. So the first 5 clients are free. And then the next 5 clients, you charge them at an 80% discount of whatever your regular price is. Next 5 at 60%. And then the next 5 at 40, then 20. And then once you get to full price, you can actually increase your prices, and then there's a lot more you can do from there. So I am at the stage where I am picking up more clients at a discounted rate, and then again, still terms and conditions still apply. So they work with me, they let me coach them, and they leave me a killer review. So with that, it just keeps kind of snowballing into more clients. So again, with the next year kind of coming in, I'm hoping to triple my clientele and still kind of using the same approach that I'm using right now. And I'm hoping to just grow, just kind of get my name out there, and still getting more referrals and growing as an entrepreneur, as a business person. So that's kind of like my vision for next year.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Like, you just come such a long way. And it's cool to, look at the past and kind of compare where you are now to then, and just like see all of the growth. And then it sounds like, like you're just really looking forward to what's to come.
Totally.
Yay. Awesome. We kind of talked through a lot of it, but maybe like some last advice for, say, another PT, another clinician out there who is on the fence about starting their own business. What would you tell them?
If you're really on the fence about, doing it, take a little bit of time and just ask around, talk to your friends, network, and ask, people who have been in that space, who are already kind of doing what you want to do, and see what their experiences are, and take a little bit of time to yourself just to kind of collect your thoughts. And I would just write down everything that could go wrong, and then everything that would go right. And if you write down everything that could go wrong, eventually that list kind of becomes extreme. And like, what are the worst things that could happen, right? There's really like nothing, right? Like you start it, you actually become better when you start a business, because you learn so many things. You kind of learn a lot of things about yourself. But then when you look at the list of what things can go right, you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is a dream. Like if I just, take that first initial step, I get this much closer to achieving all these things that can happen. And the other thing is just trying to learn more. Just the more that you YouTube, the more that you Google, the more knowledge you get, and the better you become at knowing exactly what to do. I think it's, again, if you go into this with like very little ideas, very little vision, like again, it might not get you very far. But if you go into this with the right amount of research and the right ideas, and again, a good game plan, right, on how to do things, and then it'll really, really, really get you to where you want to be. And then hiring a coach too. Like I really think that hiring a coach and working with somebody who was in your position and is where you want to be, and also has experience working with other people, bringing them up from basically like nothing, right? Bringing them up, it'll really, really kind of, again, streamline, accelerate the process. I use that word a lot because, again, I'm a very like efficient person. I like to just do things like as efficient as I can. I don't like to really kind of mess around and waste time. So if you can find somebody to coach you and help you with that, then it's really, really going to get you like just to where you want to be so much faster.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like we talked about, like everything that you need to know is on the internet. It's just like, would you rather spend the time looking for it yourself, which in some cases can be fine, or would you rather like invest in the knowledge that somebody else has, and they can just tell you, exactly what to do. And like, that's the same reason why I have a business coach. And like, I actually just signed up for a new coaching program to help me with my YouTube channel, because I really want to work on that. And it's going to go a lot better if I follow somebody's program than if I try to figure it out my own. But yeah, and I love the fact that you brought up the like writing out like what's the worst that could happen versus what's the best that could happen, because that's something that I'm pretty sure I have a video and a blog post about, because so many people are like scared to start because of like the fear of the unknown. But if you actually like literally like write out the worst thing that could happen and the best thing that could happen, odds are you're going to land somewhere in the middle. So like
Mhm.
there's no more unknown. Like you know the two like endpoints that you could be between, and the likelihood of the worst happening not high. Even if you land in the middle, you can only really go up from there. So sometimes that helps too to kind of get rid
Right.
of the unknown fear.
And you're gonna realize that everybody around you is so supportive because I think a lot of
Yes.
people they play around with the idea because they think people are gonna laugh at them. But you'd be surprised when you tell people that I started my own business. So many people are gonna say, "Well, it's either about time," or they're gonna say, "I'm so proud and I'm so happy for you." Because not a single person has told me that that's a dumb idea, right? And I think that's what our biggest fear is that somebody telling us like, "Oh, that's a stupid idea." But for most people, like starting a business is not even a thought to them. Like starting a business is like incredibly hard. That's why most people don't do it. Like if it was easy, then everybody would do it, right? So the fact that you started it, most people are going to be like, wow, like good for you. Like I'm so proud of you too. And you're going to have a really good support system, a really good network system, and that's going to keep propelling you to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly like what I experienced and what I know like so many other practice owners have gone through. Like we get so scared to, be like, I'm a practice owner, like, and like don't even like say it like that loud because we're like so scared of what's gonna happen. But as soon as you like actually make that official announcement, like your business is going to succeed so much more than if you tried to like keep it hidden. And you're gonna find the support, just like you're saying. Sean, this has been so insightful. Thank you so much for sharing all your advice.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really, really do appreciate it, and I hope this helps a couple of people out there. I hope this helps one person out there. And if you're
Yeah.
if you're on the fence of starting it, like I said, like just you don't have to be great to start, but you got to start to be great. So we gotta start somehow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm getting like shivers. Like, what a motivational speech. That's awesome. For anybody like listening, watching, if they're interested in learning more about what you do, want to schedule an appointment or just reach out to you, what is the best place that people can find you?
Yeah, so my website is milevitalityhealth.com. So Instagram is at milevitalityhealth, and then that's where you can find all of my information and reach out to me. Yeah, please. Anybody, if you're on the fence again, please reach out to me with any questions. I would love to help and I would love to answer as much questions as I can.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you again so much for being here, Sean. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you everybody for listening, for watching. Shout out to Brittany for jumping in the chat and hanging in there with us. And if you guys are looking for help with anything, please feel free to reach out, leave a comment below. You can reach out to Sean, myself, morganmeese.com. And otherwise, we will plan to see you on the next one.